2016, the African Development Bank stepped up its lending and advocacy work, tailored to the specific needs of its clients. The high fives, our aspirations for Africa, will help the continent achieve around 90% of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2063 of the African Union. Within the first full year of delivering on our 5 priorities, project approvals rose significantly and disbursement levels were the highest in the bank's history. Light Up and Power Africa. The projects approved in 2016 will contribute to expanding the continent's installed power capacity by close to 550 megawatts and will provide up to 700,000 end-user connections. Energy sufficiency will drive Africa's transformation. This is why we will commit $12 billion of our resources and leverage up to $50 billion over the next 10 years. Feed Africa is about transforming the agriculture sector, which employs 60% of the African workforce.
Ce projet nous a aidés. Ils nous ont dit de cultiver du riz et on l'a fait. Cela nous a amené le changement.
Cela faisait 2 ans que je n'allais plus à l'école. On n'avait rien. Certains de mes amis partaient étudier, mais pas moi. Depuis que le projet a amené la culture du riz ici, je vais à l'école. Aujourd'hui, je suis épanoui.
Actuellement, nous attendons un enfant. Nous nous sommes préparés à son arrivée. Nous allons pouvoir bien nous occuper de lui.
Our continent is endowed with 2/3 of the world's uncultivated arable land, which could help meet the food needs of 9 billion people by 2050. Yet Africa still spends $35 billion annually on food imports. Its productivity and yields are amongst the lowest in the world, and the sector is increasingly vulnerable to climate change. Our goal is simple: support massive agro-industrial development and create wealth. Africa should export processed cocoa and not cocoa beans, ground coffee and not coffee beans, finished textile products and not cotton lint. Achieving this will require $40 billion annually over the next decade. We will quadruple our agribusiness investments to $2.4 billion annually. Enable Youth was launched in 2016 to scale up entrepreneurship and agribusiness in Africa. We committed more than $300 million in Nigeria, Sudan, and DR Congo and plan to replicate the program in more countries. We expect 250,000 new agro-enterprises, creating 1,250,000 jobs in the next 10 years. Industrialize Africa. The continent accounts for just 1.9% of global manufacturing, but the potential in services is yet to be fully harnessed. With Africa's share of global service exports at just 2%, our ambition is to increase industrial contribution to GDP by 130%, moving Africa to the top of the value chain and double industrial GDP to $1.72 trillion within the next decade. The bank will support the creation of 35 special economic zones and facilitate $56 billion of investments through industrialization programs in the next 10 years. Through Fashionomics, we invest in the textile industry, building capacity for micro-enterprises and SMEs. Integrate Africa is an imperative on the continent where 16 countries, home to 1/3 of African people, are landlocked. The bank will continue to invest in regional infrastructure while working with countries to remove soft barriers for effective regional integration. In 2016, the bank approved a transport project of $245 million in Uganda and Rwanda to boost regional trade and decongest traffic. The loan will rehabilitate over 200 kilometers of road in Rwanda, serving 1.1 million people, reduce travel time from 6 hours to 3 hours. In Uganda, the loan will build a 24-kilometer express highway connecting Kampala to the Northern Corridor, benefiting 1 million people. To improve the quality of life for the people of Africa, the bank will accelerate investments in education, vocational training, and skills, building to grow the next generation of knowledge workforce for the continent. We will also continue to invest in public health to improve access to basic services like water and sanitation, and will address the challenges of rapid urbanization through affordable housing for slum-free cities. And we must create jobs. Jobs for Youth in Africa will mobilize $4.5 billion over the next decade to create 25 million jobs and impact 50 million young people. The solution to the migration crisis does not lie in Europe. The future of Africa's youth lies in Africa's own prosperity. To provide better access to high-quality education in Africa, the bank lent $40 million to Babalola University in Nigeria. The project will double student capacity by 2025 and generate 12,000 high-quality employable graduates. The African Development Bank, your bank, raised the bar on its aspirations for the continent by charting a bold and ambitious program that will transform Africa. This can only be achieved through partnerships with governments, development partners, civil society, and the private sector. Together, we will go forward until Africa reaches its destination. We will seek growth that is not just strong, but shared by all.